So I'm in the Palestinian delegation in London, and I'm speaking. Can you tell me your name, please?
Hosan.
And Hosan, so where are you from?
I'm from Palestine, from Gaza.
From Gaza. And how long have you been in London?
Long enough, 8 years almost.
Okay, right. And tell me, what's the situation like in Gaza?
Very desperate indeed, very bad, very bleak, as you have been following, I'm sure. It's very difficult at the moment, very difficult.
Yes. Okay. In what way can you describe what's difficult?
There is an occupation, a military occupation, that has been there for the last 40 years of Gaza and the West Bank and Jerusalem, that has transformed people's life to unprecedented levels of poverty, of suffering and humiliations, and lack of any source of freedom. And that has generated all sorts of problems until recently, when we witnessed the internal infighting in Palestine, in Gaza and elsewhere, which is only a product of the continued military occupation, external foreign occupation.
So Israel has theoretically pulled out, but you're still using the word occupation.
Occupation is not just to have soldiers inside, or direct occupation can have many forms. And Gaza has been besieged ever since Israel left. So it doesn't matter if you are inside or around, the fact that you imprison people is what occupation means, and the fact that you control people's lives is what matters at the end of the day. In any prison, in any normal prison, the prison administration needs only 5% of the area of the prison to control prisoners, and that's exactly what Israel did. It just evacuated 95% of the area and controlled 5% around the Gaza Strip, and imprisoned people inside. So occupation continued. And anyway, Gaza is an integral part of all Palestinian territory, that is the West Bank and Gaza. And when the West Bank is still directly occupied, so Gaza is also occupied. At the end of the day, we cannot separate between.
So on the, I think it was the 5th or the 6th of June 1967, Gaza was conquered, I suppose is the word, by Israel. Gaza was then part of, before that it was part of Egypt. Wouldn't it make more sense for Egypt to retake Gaza again?
Gaza is not a piece of clothes for people to take it and untake it whenever they desire. It's a piece of land that belongs to a nation, and the nation is in quest for freedom and liberation. And that nation is very fully fledged. I belong to it. It's called Palestinians and Palestine. And they are after their independence, and they have the right and the legitimacy and the legality to do so. And therefore Gaza is part of Palestine and part of the Palestinian homeland, and shall forever remain so.
So where would you draw the borders of the Palestinian homeland?
Where would I draw the borders?
Yes.
It depends on what do you mean by borders. I am not somebody who's very keen on borders, but according to our initiative as a PLO in 1988, the borders are the pre-1967 expansion of Israel. So if Israel ceases its expansion of 1967, returns to its previous borders, that's the green line, then that's the borders.
And that, if Israel were to withdraw to the borders of the 4th of June 1967, that's it. There's no more problems.
And resolve the issue of refugees.
And how does the issue of refugees get resolved?
By granting them their legitimate legal right to go back to their homes and farms that they were uprooted forcefully.
In 1947, 48?
Yes.
Okay, but I mean Israel, even the most moderate Israelis are not going to agree to that.
So what?
So you're going to have a situation of conflict which will go on forever.
And our rights are not conditioned to Israeli mentality and behavior and acceptance or rejection. These are enshrined rights in international law and it's private rights as much as it is collective rights. They were kicked from their homes and their towns, their farms, their schools. They have the sacred right to go back. Period.
But
this is non-negotiable. You don't sit and negotiate a private property. It belongs to this person. It's his property. I cannot sit and negotiate it unless he comes and say, I don't want to go. That's his right or her right, not mine.
So anybody who left Israel before what date? What, 15th of May 1948, something like that, or anybody left before that date has no right of return. Anybody who was forced to leave after that date has a right of return. Where's the borderline? There's got to be a cut-off date sometime. I mean, for example, you're not going to say the Turks can come back.
Refugees are very well documented by the United Nations. Palestinian refugees who were uprooted in 1947-48 are very well documented, known and recorded. So we have no problem in tracing who is a refugee. We have a problem in granting them the right to return. So it's not in who is a refugee, it's how this refugee is able to exercise his or her right.
So would this right of return apply to children as well?
Yes.
So, I mean, effectively, how many people does this affect?
Doesn't matter. You're asking me as if you
approximately. I mean,
doesn't matter. You're asking me as if you're coming from a Zionist perspective, which is something that is the main obstacle. It's always about numbers. It's always about keeping the purity of the Jewish state. You see, I don't care. What I care about is the decency and the justice of any people, including the Israelis. Having said that, if the numbers are 100,000 or the numbers are 10 million, the important thing is we respect the well-being and the rights of any individual. Doesn't matter.
Well, wouldn't it make more sense for some kind like for Gaza and the West Bank to be completely integrated into Israel, and then allow a right of return for everybody?
Say it again.
So that Gaza and the West Bank, although I'm sorry, we've advanced that this is going back 10 years. This may have worked, but not today. But for argument's sake, for Gaza and the West Bank to become part of Israel completely, and allow all refugees to return.
That's the one-state solution, you mean?
Yes.
Well, there are many people who are talking about it, and that was the PLO position long ago when it was first established in the 60s and 70s. It always called for a one-state, and the PLO always believed that those who are in historic Palestine should remain there, including the Israelis. And it called for the establishment of a democratic constitutional state. That all of its citizens, including Israelis, will be granted equal rights, and there will be a democratic process to determine and decide upon the leadership and the institutions and the governments, etc. There are many people who are talking about this sort of solution right now as we speak, and it's a growing sort of...
So it's still realistic?
Again, we will be faced with your questions of many Israelis obsessed with the idea of a pure Jewish state. That's the crux of the matter. That's the mother of all evils, I believe. Two-state solution will not work, one-state solution will not work, 300-state solution will not work as long as the bulk of the Israeli society is obsessed with the religious connotation of the state. I think that is the crux of the matter. Once the Israeli society arrive at a conclusion that perhaps the most important thing is citizenship and equality and civil rights as well for all people who live in that area, then I think people can coincide and coexist. And I firmly believe that there is no structural issues here.
The way I see it is that, I mean, also talking to my friends in Israel, is that the 1990s were like, looking back, and it's always easy to look back, but the 1990s were like a golden era, because there was no problems, the borders were open. I mean, Palestinians, or sorry, people who ex-Jordanians or Palestinians or whatever, people were coming from what is the West Bank, they were working in Israel.
What do you mean ex-Jordanians?
From people who were in Jordan before 4th of June 1967.
There was nobody who was in Jordan before 4th of June 1970 and came back to Palestine. It's the other way around. People were forced to leave Palestine towards Jordan in 48 and in 67. That's why the biggest refugee concentration is in Jordan from Palestine. So just to correct the information.
Okay.
And I know the source of information.
Yes. Okay. No. Okay.